Hey everybody, it's Never. I'm here in my favorite zone in the entire game to tell you about something that a few people were asking about, and I just wanted to explain and probably disappoint you in the same time, and that is my UI. I wish that I could give you a link so that you could go download the UI, but it's just not possible because it isn't just a packaged UI. It's one that I built myself over a long period of time, just kind of figuring out what I liked and how to make it work. But I'll happily go over the different add-ons that I use that are prominent in it. So the first one obviously is Pitbull unit frames. And I've spent a lot of time figuring out where this stuff is going to go. I like a very minimal design, so I have stuff hide unless I'm in combat or missing health or I'm PvP flagged. I'm flagged right now.
Such flammable little insects.
I do have Sartharian macroed in with my water gliding jets. Now that that's gone away, this will go away, and so I can see a lot of what's happening, and that's really nice, especially for videos. This is one of my favorite little caverns in the whole place. So that's Pitbull. I've got party frames that show up down here. I don't know if Pitbull's config mode actually works now. There you go. So you can see sort of the layout of what's going on here. Target, buffs and debuffs, and party, and that just grows out clear to where an entire 40-man raid will fit right down there, taking up very little space, but it still tells you everything you need to know, sorted by class colors and by groups. Pretty straightforward. That's how I do that. I also have focus set up right here with focus target, and this is target of target. For my own buffs, I use Citrina. And so I've got, this is one that tracks my stuff that I want to actually see, like Slice and Dice or Master of Subtleties extra stealth bonus, stuff like that. Down here is where I put debuffs on myself. Up here is where I put a specific list of debuffs that I put on the target, in addition to their normal buff and debuff things, so that I can see where stuff is. So like how long has Rupture still got, things like that. And I green light all that stuff that's where dots are, and so I'll just go in here to spells and I'll just green light the ones that I want to show up for any class that I'm using, like Bloodplate for Death Knights or things like that. So that's how I do that. And then in addition, I've got another one right here that shows the duration of stuns, and I've just done the same thing. I've green lit different stuns that I put on the target. It kind of sucks because it only shows those when I'm on my target, but I haven't really gone very far to do anything else. Chat, I use Pratt, and that's just to get some more control over chat stuff. I also use Total RP when I'm doing RP in the guild. I've turned off a couple of its functions. Specifically, I made it so that it would not hide the original buffs descriptions, so that I can actually see what's going on. But if you're on Emerald Dream or any RP server, Total RP2 is just kind of a must. It's a wonderful, wonderful add-on. Oh, I can't mount in here. But I can use my raft. So I use Bartender 4, and I use it in kind of a roundabout way. I use a Razer N52TE pad, a keypad. Look that up if you the N52TE for Tournament Edition. The Razer Nostromo or the Orb Weaver is a newer version of it. Absolutely invaluable for any game you play. I don't know what I would do without this thing. It is the best piece of gaming hardware that you can get, except for maybe a nice video card. But even then, I'd probably rather play on a slightly crappier video card than not have the Nostromo. And so with that, I use the directional keys on the Nostromo as Shift, Control, Alt, and Tab. And so then I have it so that each of these, this is Bartender 4, and each of these bars actually has, it pages, the main bar pages to other bars with modifiers, so I don't have to macro modifiers into my macros. Instead, you'll notice that none of my icons look right. That's because I actually just go through and pick the icons I want to see, and then I put this in here, but if I hit Shift, it switches to a whole nother page. That keeps your macros clean, so you don't have to use modifier keys in the macros. Instead, you just put them on other pages and choose what you want the main page of stuff to look like by choosing all the icons. So that's bartender 4. This is a 5th bar down here, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 for shift, control, and alt, and then nothing. And then I've also got this bar number 5, and then 6, 7, and 8, which lets me have tons and tons of things, and almost all of this stuff is either on the Nostromo or on my mouse. I'm using a Logitech G700 because it's the best placement of buttons that I've been able to find for somebody who uses a fingertip grip like I do. I would use like an G600 for all those extra MMO buttons, but I grip the mouse on the sides to move it, and that I had one for a while and I ended up pushing buttons when I didn't want to. So there's that. I use Chinchilla for my mini-map and compact that down. All of these borders, this is done with mask or button facade. I can't remember which one actually works right now. And that's just a border around it. I'll find out. It's mask. I forget how to configure mask. It's been so long. But anyway, so that's how stuff all looks the same. Is I just do sort of a Blizzard standard tooltip, turn black, and expand it a few pixels so that it gets that soft black around everything. And I found that Citrina and Bartender and Pitbull and Chinchilla can all do the same type of thing. You can use Skinner to do even more stuff on all of these windows, but I found that it's too much of a resource hog, and if I'm going to be recording too, it's a little much for me to keep a nice smooth frame rate through everything that happens, especially if I've got a lot of people on the screen. So that's the real basics of the UI. There's a couple of other things that I use. I use NPC Scan and Bagnon to do my inventory. It's nice to set the hotkeys so that I can see my bank as well, or my void storage when I can get that one to work, but that key doesn't seem to work. Mixed scrolling battle text, I use that for certain information, but I like the standard scrolling text from Blizzard because it puts the crits above the target that got them. I use the Mogget. Oh, Mogget. You have to have Mogget. Along with Mogget, there's a few other things. OmniCC shows cooldowns. That's pretty obvious. And then Mogget also works really nice with another one of these that shows... I don't think it has a config, but it's like it's called like Up Close or something, and it lets you take a standard tooltip and zoom way in on stuff like that and move it around. It gives you a lot more freedom just with the regular one if you don't want to open a whole Mogget session for that. So there's that. And then for my combo points, I use the Nug combo bar, and I have that set to hide when there's no combo points. Makes it real nice. And the other thing I just do a lot of is macros. Like, I've got my stealth key right down here, which also does a dismount so that I can get off a mouse really easily. But here's my combo points bar. It just shows up like that. I also have a sound. It lets you make a sound when I get full combo points, so it's easy for me to tell what's going on. And again, I've got lots of macros, which I'll go over sometime, my rogue macros, so that everyone can see them, and then a couple other useful ones. But for my cast bar, I have quartz, and I just have that down there. And I've got enemy cast bar up here, so that it's easier to see if I'm tunneling. I use engraved for the runes on my Death Knight, and that's pretty much most of it. I've rearranged a few things with Chinchilla. I put my quests over here and stuff like that. And then I use Mapster for some extra details and configuration on map. And is there anything else? Diminishing Returns and Gladius. So in Arena, Gladius sits over here, and then Diminishing Returns shows up underneath. It shows up off to the side here to show which Diminishing Returns are active for various targets. That's really handy because it's hard to look over at Gladius when you're tunneling, so I recommend that. And then Omen and Skada, and then tidy plates for nameplates and the neon theme. It looks clean and it's got those borders that match everything else I do. And I guess the last thing is Titan panel and broker and stuff like that. I keep those up there. You can see that I don't really have all that much gold because I keep spending it on pets. So OpenQ, I'm going to be glad to get rid of because the interface for OpenQ is just terrible. Blizzard is building their own OpenQ into the interface in Warlords of Draenor, so hallelujah for that. But that is the quick version of my UI. If there was a reasonable way to port it, I would, but it has been reiterated, and it's really kind of a mess inside my add-ons folder that I wouldn't be able to get a clean execution of it. So I hope that this helps people that were interested in the UI, and I'd love to see the UIs you have. If you throw them up somewhere, if you got screenshots, then please comment and link to what you've got. I'd love to see it. And if people are interested, let me know, and I will show an entire history of all my UIs since I started playing, and you can see the evolution of it and how it's been one thing or another. So anyway, that's my UI. Okay, thanks, bye!